The coronavirus is extremely serious and it's wreaking havoc throughout for individuals, companies and business, countries and the whole world. The news is filled with sickness and people losing their jobs and livelihoods and deaths. There is no shortage of bad news when it comes to COVID-19, and it is making even the most optimistic of us to feel frustrated and upset, which is why we should finally look and appreciate the brighter side, the getting better side of things. Let's see how these countries are doing.
If there is one thing that is working to slow the spread of COVID-19, whether it's Germany, South Korea, or the Czech Republic, it is the act of physical distancing. The model country being pointed at by many experts, including the World Health Organization, at effectively flattening the curve is South Korea, which was able to control the COVID-19 outbreak through several measures. The country of 50 million plus had experienced Middle East respiratory syndrome related coronavirus in 2015, from which 38 people died. Before COVID-19 even went global, South Koreans had just completed their pandemic training in December, which had prepared them to deal with physical distancing and practice proper hygiene. Dr. Banerjee notes the Koreans were able to set up quick and readily available testing and subsequently had systems in place to track positive cases and understand who may have been in contact with the infected. Their rapid testing of anyone with symptoms, early on drive-through testing, and people getting the results back quickly. It's helped them target and isolate people who were compromised, she said.
There are also countries like Italy who started out roughly. At first, they had underestimated the COVID virus and thus were unprepared for those chaos it brought to their country. When they realized the severity of their mistake, they were quick to prepare a nation lockdown in order to control the pandemic. The result has been remarkable recovery. Italy has had very few cases since then. They really had regained control of the virus in the area. While their initial responses was not a model, their subsequent catch-up in mitigation has been model for the rest of the world, to say that even though they messed up initially, it is still possible to do right.
Another country worth mentioning is Germany. Germany's response to the coronavirus crisis has been widely praised. A high number of infections, yes, but a much lower death rate compared to other Western countries. Germany's lockdown didn't come all at once. Measures were introduced gradually. For example, schools shut in mid-March and soon after, elderly care homes were closed to all customers. When the first corona cases appeared in Germany, we felt immediately vulnerable, says manager Johanna Johnson. There were bumps along the way, she says. She had much more confusion and worry over testing at the start and worries about safety equipment. But Johnson has praised for the government and in particular the Chancellor Angela Merkel for steady hands. From the beginning, Merkel clearly knew where she stood. She took it seriously and spoke directly to the people. Germany already had more intensive care unit beds per person than its EU partners, but it still moved to increase capacity and to buy ventilators. Public health expert Wolfgang Greiner says one advantage for Germany, simply but often overlooked, was time and the decision not to squander it. Germany began opening up again around April 20th, but it's far from back to normal.
Now, let us talk about the countries that had a great response right from the beginning. You could look at the places like South Korea and Taiwan. South Korea is a great example where they learned the lessons of SARS, and they were scared, and they invested in a very sophisticated public health system. They invested in technology and an early warning system. So as soon as the cases in China began to look like they were going out of control, they launched early testing and contact tracing, and they were very sophisticated in cell phone methods, so they could determine everyone people have been in contact with, and they immediately isolate them. They effectively implement containment. The virus did not spread through its population. They were able to control it up front. They didn't have to do a draconian economic lockdown. They could then bend the curve by target lockdown only in hotspots. and they were able to control the virus without a national lockdown. New Zealand is another example of a country that did it right from the beginning. Now, they have the advantage of being an island. It is easier to lock down, but they had also learned from SARS. They did a rapid rollout of testing, contact tracing, isolation. They made a containment work that was so effective they actually went 100 days without a case. In this country, you can easily say that containment and discipline is a key.
To prevent the spread of COVID-19, clean your hands often. Use soap and water on an alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Wear a mask when physical distancing is not possible. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. If you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention. Push aside the negative energy to pave way for the future to rise. To lift your spirits to new heights and hopes, love, give, appreciate, support, acknowledge. In the face of adversity and hopelessness, we must pull together and rise.